What's up, YouTube? So I've been looking around Reddit Path of Exile builds, and I do see a very common question about how to actually upgrade your Venom Gyre build. So I thought the best way is probably to make a video about it and look at one of the top profiles and then look at a min-max version from last leak and see what exactly is the difference between it. So right here you can see, if you actually look on PoE Ninja, when you bring it up, you will see that number one is actually Berserker Venom Gyre, but it's a different type of build. As you may know, if you're using like Secrets of Suffering or something and you're using Trinity, it actually doesn't take into account how you don't actually have these things. So if we import this guy's profile over, it won't have Trinity, it won't have Secrets of Suffering from the interrogation, and it won't also have the Rage, I think, from what I saw. So basically, we're going to go look at it. And this is because I saw on Reddit Path of Exile builds here, strong Venom Gyre, but unsure on next steps. I've been playing Kobe's Venom Gyre build, having a ton of fun with it. I scaled it pretty well. I'm nearing the 10 mil PoE DPS with 80% all res. Thing is, I'm not sure where to go next for upgrades. I'm especially not sure how to increase my damage more. There are a couple things I could do for defense. So this guy has some problems. So he's not really sure what to do. But he does say, I'm loving the build, and it seems quite strong. And this is probably the best build I've ever played, which is always good. And the main problem is, unfortunately, since I'm stronger than I've ever been, I really don't know how to push the build past this point. So let's kind of help out this person and help out everyone who is playing Venom Gyre. So first off, let's go import a new profile over. So let's go import that guy's profile, and I'll show you how to configure the PoE, because a lot of people have some questions. So this is the number one person, Dandy2. Okay, so let's actually take this profile over. So I actually already set it up previously, but you can see how it's at 2.785 mil. So number one thing for the profile is that it doesn't allocate Secrets of Suffering, so you can allocate that. And once you have that, then you're in charge. So Frenzy charges should always be ticked. Elusive should always be ticked. Rage should always be 50 because you have the glove thing. The glove implicit. And Brittle, you should just put at 5 or 6. So let's just put it at 6. Scorch, 30. And that's pretty much all you need to do. And you can see it takes it all the way from 2.7 mil to 16 mil. Now, something that I do think is a little bit of cheating, I'm not sure. Oh, and we forgot about resonance, right? Resonance, oh, we don't have 59 resonance. That's not true. So you can see here, after you do it all, you need to uncheck Berserk because no one's really ever having Berserk up all the time. So you can see here that DPS is 14.7 mil. Now, this seems like a lot, but you can see the character is kind of squishy, which is actually kind of strange because he doesn't have a brass dome, and he also doesn't have any Gravicious Craft. And something interesting to know about PoE is if you have 95% suppression, it pretty much treats you as 0% suppression. So if you can see the EHP of Fire, Cold, and Lightning, let's get 5% more suppress over here. So if you take this one node right here, you can see it jump all the way up to 20, 26, 20. And that's pretty much because as soon as you hit the 100% suppression mark on PoE, you get a huge EHP boost. Now, this guy is definitely sacrificing survivability for damage. So you can see here, he has 4,871 armor. And all that means is that he's not running Determination. So if you actually ever wanted to make your character tankier, you can run Determination and you can run Cast 1 damage, take a Molten Shell. I don't think there's that much purpose in running Defiance Banner if you don't have, what's it called? If you don't have Determination. So right here, you can see once you have this, you can see the numbers are already looking a lot better. I think he actually has Cast 1 damage, take an Immortal Call. So you can see Molten Shell is actually better once you have a baseline of armor. And for his flask, he has Granite, Armadillo, Diamond Flask of Evasion, Quicksilver of the Hair. Now this is probably something I would never use because Quicksilver Flask is not really needed because you have a bunch of Whirling Blade speed. Silver Flask is kind of iffy. You could use a Phasing Flask and you would have Cap Suppression. And then he has Terrified Eternal Life Flask. Usually you want to do a Bubbling Divine Life Flask, but this thing works too. Now, if we go look at this guy's gear overall, it seems pretty good. He crafted this on a Fractured Crit Chance Claw base. Now, the one problem with this claw is that it's 22% attack speed, which is kind of low for endgame scaling. Now, he does have Pen on it. I usually prefer hits can't be evaded because it does allow you to free up points on a tree. So you can see here, he would save 4 points on a tree right here, and he wouldn't have to worry about running Precision if he had hits can't be evaded, which is actually a pretty big deal. So Blizzard Crown, he has Anger Reservation Efficiency. This should probably be Venom Gyre Helm Enchant, but 25%, and you can usually find it on the TFT lab services. So this item over here, it does have a lot of accuracy. So you can see here how important the hits can't be evaded can be, because it would save you an accuracy roll on the shield. And I'm not sure if he has accuracy somewhere else. So it would save you an accuracy roll on the shield and the precision aura and 4 points, which is actually crazy value. So in terms of this, he does craft on flat damage, which is exactly what you want to do. You always want to be scaling flat damage for any build. So Blizzard Crown is the same thing. He has a lot of attributes, and that's how he has 1863 Omni. And that's actually a crazy amount of Omni. So he has triple attributes, life, and he does +1 AoE gems. And I'm pretty sure that's because he has it in his helm, right? So his helm, he has his auras in. So overall, everything's looking good. So he has the gloves with rage on hit and suppress. And this pair of gloves is very high on damage. His attack speed, dex, and flatlining damage. And then this pair of boots is strength. He has no movement speed, cannot be chilled. But he does have 2 T1 attributes. So this is how he has so much omniscience. And this omniscience is, I'm not really sure. Does this guy not have an anoint on the omniscience? Well, apparently this guy messed up and he forgot to anoint the amulet. So his damage could be a lot higher. I don't know what happened. Maybe he just got the Omni, or maybe he bought the amulet and he forgot to anoint it. But rookie mistake, right? So right here, you can see his rings are triple attributes, wed, no flat damage, but it's kind of hard to do it when you also need non-channeling mana craft. And then this thing over here is the same thing. And he has +3 level of socket of gems. And what does he actually have in the slot? He has Berserk, which you probably don't really want. You could probably put an aura in there or something else. Not really sure what you can put in there. But overall, you can see the one ring has flat damage. One ring has pretty high elemental damage of attacks. Well, this ring has 1 to 5 lightning damage, so not really that big of a deal. And now this is pretty much one of the biggest upgrades. A lot of people wonder, how do you get enough dex and strength? So this is how you do it. You get a % dex belt. If you take off this belt, you can see it is around a 17% damage boost, which is not that insane. And that's pretty much because he has so much Omni already. But usually this piece of gear is usually a lot more damage. But the belt is not really that much. So that brings us to the question, how much can you actually get from a min-max profile? If you look at his cluster jewels, he has Wind Up Devastator, so he actually does have power charges, but I don't even think his profile needs power charges because he's at 100% crit more or less. So he has Devastator, which is okay, just 20% attack damage. He has 1 Eye-to-Eye repeater cluster, and then this one, Phantom Blaze, Calamitous, and he has 1 Eye-to-Eye repeater cluster and his martial prowess over there. So overall, his character seems pretty min-max, but let's go look at another profile and see how it varies. So this is the profile from last leak that I pulled up that someone had. And you can see here right away that this profile has roughly almost more than double the damage. And I actually looked at it, and there's a lot of stuff that's going on here. So number one, Omni has been nerfed. So the nerf to Omni is already roughly, let's see, if you remove the Omni, it's 29% more damage, the old Omni, and if you remove it, it's a 22.5% nerf overall. So that makes a pretty big difference. If you look at the Claw, this Claw is slightly better, but it does have hits can't be evaded, so it allows him to have more points available on the tree. Now, whenever we want to compare damage, we want to look at the crit chance, crit multi. So you can see here, 100% crit chance, 758% crit multi, 767%. So it's all pretty much identical. Now, Omni 1156, 1863. So this profile has a lot more Omni. But number one thing you want to see here is 8.95, 13.1. So you want to look at why does one profile have so much more attack speed. And pretty much all of the attack speed, so you can see here, this is all of the sources of attack speed. And right here, you can also see it, where are all the sources of attack speed. So the number one thing you'll notice is that this profile runs cluster jewels. That makes a huge difference in attack speed. So this one actually has Feed to Fury, which is 15% increased attack speed while leeching. He also has 8% over here. So that's another 31% because he has running an extra medium cluster. And you can see here, he doesn't run the accuracy stuff right here. And so because he has a hits can't be evaded claw. And overall, let's see here. So basically, the clusters make a pretty big difference because this one right here is also 15%. So there's 30% attack speed over there. And then right here is 8% right there. So overall, you can see the attack speed makes a huge difference. 13.1 to 8.95 is pretty much a night and day difference. And some of his cluster jewels or his abyss jewels also give him 8% increased attack speed if he dealt a crit recently. And this pair of gloves actually has 18% attack speed. And he's taking finesse, claws on a magpie, but everyone has that. And now we get to the thing about min-maxing builds, and this is why Mage Blood is so good. So you can see here, this belt is not really giving that much damage at this point, but Mage Blood, however, gives a bunch of damage because it allows you to get 17% attack speed with 70% increased effect or 95% increased effect. So this is like a 34% attack speed flask, and it makes a huge difference. And it's pretty much why the survivability on this build is so much better, because if you look at it here, even though it has slightly less life, it has 50,000 armor, while this build only has 17,662 armor. Now, next up, attack speed makes a difference, but there must be something else going on, and this is how you actually look at your damage breakdown. So this guy has 170,000 lightning damage, 65,000 cold damage, and 65,000 fire damage. And you can see here, 154,000, 32,000. So this profile is slightly more cold damage, but you can see here the big difference is there's a lot more fire damage going on. And this is how you can see all the sources of fire damage. So he has fire damage on the gloves, and he has fire damage on the abyss jewels, abyss jewels, abyss jewel, abyss jewel, and anger and flame wall. So overall, you'll be able to see that this guy doesn't have flame wall. Oh wait, we didn't check that. So he has flame wall right there. He has Mantra of Flames, but he has no flat damage on any of his Abyss Jewels. And it does turn out that Abyss Jewels make a huge difference, or getting more flat damage on your gear will help out a lot in making your damage higher. So overall, if I had to sum it up for why this profile is so much more damage and what he can do to min-max the build, is definitely to pick up a Mage Blood, and this is a long-term investment. And this will also allow you a lot more freedom on your gearing. So you can see here is negative 5% chaos res, and this profile actually has 77% chaos res. Using a brass dome is also a huge boost in terms of survivability. It gives you 5% max res, which is pretty sorely needed for this build. And this build also has flat damage, and this craft is actually really good. The Unveiled Cold and Lightning damage mod. And this character doesn't even have flat damage on the shield for the min-max version. But overall, it's just small stuff like this that makes a pretty big impact. And this thing is 5% increased action speed, and this one's 6%. So not really too big of a deal. But in the end, it does come down to the clusters. So you can see here, Scavening, Phantom Blaze, Feet to Fury. These are very expensive clusters. And clusters are pretty much the name of the game. They add an insane amount of damage. So this guy only has 2 medium clusters, and another person has 3 medium clusters. But it is pretty crazy, right? Because the only thing is the Abyss Jewels, the Cluster Jewels, the Mage Blood, and I do think the Timeless Jewel for this one is slightly better. So this guy has 5% increased strength, 10% chance to intimidate, 5% chance to deal double damage, 20% increased armor, doesn't really do anything. So the jewel is good, but it's not like out of this world. This guy has 5, so that doesn't do anything. 5% dex, 5% dex, frenzy charge on kill, 5% dex. So 15% all attributes and blind on hit. This jewel is definitely better because it has intimidate. So try to look for a Timeless Jewel of Intimidate, double damage, and any percent attributes. But let's see, is there any other changes in the... But these two profiles are almost near identical in terms of the passive tree. But they both seem to have pretty good gear. But the Mage Blood, the Cluster Jewels, and the flat damage just makes all the difference in the world. So hopefully the Omni nerf does make a pretty big difference in terms of the damage loss that you get. It is around a 20 to 25% damage loss. And the funny part is this profile is not even that min-max for Omni. So if you had 1800 Omni, it would probably be even worse maybe. And a difference in attack speed between the two profiles really illustrates the importance of cluster jewels and base attack speed. Like I showed you, PoE pretty much can tell you everything. If you ever want to look at why your profile does less damage, just look at your crit chance, look at your crit multi, look at your hit chance, look at how fast you attack, and then go look at your base damage and break it down, compare it to another profile, and you can pretty much get all you need to know. See where all of the attack speed comes from. And that's pretty much all you need to do in order to fix up your profile. It's pretty much basic math, right? Flat damage times attack speed times crit chance times crit multi, and that's how much damage you end up doing. And timeless jewels and abyss jewels do make a huge difference. Getting intimidate, getting a chance to deal double damage makes a huge difference in trying to fix up your build. And in the end, pop is overpowered for fixing your gear. So hopefully this has helped you out a little bit. So if this guy's profile that I saw, the end game upgrades, more survivability, definitely 6-link brass dome, hard to color, getting probably better jewelry with unveiled flat damage, and getting a mage blood, which opens up more diversity in your gear, and probably switching over to Phantom Blaze, Feed the Fury clusters, or Field of Fight, which allows you to drop 1 point over here. And maybe looking for a better timeless jewel, but these are just very, very min-max options. This guy's profile is probably good enough for everything in the game at 16.5 mil DPS. But thanks for watching, everyone. I hope you find more Mirrors, Exalts, and Mage Bloods than me, and see you next time. Bye!